Hey guys, yesterday we had this massive AP item shakeup, so I've spent my day today tracking all the items and seeing which are doing best and which champions now seem the strongest. This is only the first few days of the new patch, so it's like a first look. Really, it gives you a rough idea of what things are working and what's not. It will get you started in your games. In case you were wondering, by the way, Zori so far this patch, after those big nerfs, has the lowest win rate out of every single mid lane champion, dropped from about 50% to nearly 40%. That has gotta hurt. So items first of all, quick rundown of how the new items seem after the first few days of the new patch. Now, most builds still have Deathcap, Void Staff, and Zhonya's as the choice of last items. It's really like the first three items that have changed a lot in the builds. Spellbinder, the new item, seems to have a really good win rate on basically everybody. It looks to be a little bit too strong for now. It's hard to tell exactly because it is best when you're ahead. I doubt you would buy this item when you're really far behind, so it looks better than it is, if that makes sense. Even with that, taking that into account though, it's still looking really good, especially on assassins or burst champions. It's mostly used as a third item or later into the game. It can be used as a second item on a burst champion though, and often paired with a death cap. It had the 40% buff now on that, and the 200 AP potential you can get from a Spellbinder together is insane. That synergy is crazy good. Liandry's also seems really strong if you can use it properly. The 10% damage amp now is really good, and I think it's actually easier to use that than we thought it would be. On a champion who can enter combat and then jump in afterwards or burst after that, keep doing damage, it's really good. So normally you would get this as a second item or third in most builds. Even though Deathcap didn't get a rework, it is winning a lot more now as a third item. Before this patch, it really wasn't the best option, even as like a last item. It got a buff, remember, to be 40%, but also now we have other like more AP heavy item builds, which makes it better as well. It depends, but we'll get into champion builds a bit later and show you what I really mean. Rod of Ages users, by the way, are pretty much the same still. Build doesn't really change at all. Ludens is the most popular out of the new 3 first items from Lost Chapter. If in doubt, you cannot really go wrong with buying Luden's first item. It is a lot of damage and it works on anybody really. I haven't seen that many people using GLP though. It is a niche item, so it's only good on a few champions, but it is better, I think, than it used to be before. It's really for that chase potential and the slow, and honestly not many mages want that over raw damage. Archangels is the third one, right? It seems to be kind of a bad first item, but really good as a second item. It seems that most people would build a tier first, then your first item, your first big one, and then upgrade that tier into Archangels as your second item. We see it a lot with the Rod of Ages builds first. Double scaling is now even more nuts than before. Finally, Morello was the other really big change, and it's way more aggressive now. It's really good when you have a lead and you want to close out the game because it gives you the magic pen, or when you need to cut healing. Also, remember, it isn't just the opponent you're trying to cut. Remember, late game, this will really bugger an AD carry's lifesteal. Let's move on to popular champion builds. So we've taken the top most played AP mid laners right now in 8.4 so far and looked at what is working the best for them. We're using the 8.4 data only from Lowalytics for this. I will link that down below if you want to look at other champions, but these are just to give you an idea of what is working. So Twisted Fate is the most popular and mostly the same here actually. Rod of Ages into Lichbane. A Spellbinder though is good after that, either third or fourth item. The active really empowers your burst combo with Lichbane, which is why it works so well. Ludens is the only other reworked item that seems to be pretty good on him, but it isn't used as much, to be honest. You don't really want to skip your Rod. After that, we have Victor, now the second most popular mid laner. It's kind of weird though, because he's not really using the new items that much. You have the upgraded Hex score into Lichbane, which is really good with the buffs to his shield upgrade, and this is the main reason why he's become so much more popular and why he's actually pretty good again. The rest is really the same. Rylai's, Void Staff, Death Cap, they also got little tweaks as well, I guess, which kind of helped. Spellbinder and Liandry's have pretty good win rates on him, but they aren't picked very often. It's kind of hard to slot them into a build. Liandry's does actually make a lot of sense though. He wants to like stay in combat for quite a long time, so you're going to get the full 10% damage amp. Third up, we have Orianna, which is the biggest change so far out of these. The whole build really is different. Ludens, first of all, seems to be the way to go. Archangels is also okay, but it is not used anywhere near as much. Liandry's second after Ludens as well. Remember, this amps up your damage quite a lot now. Yes, it has the burn, but it gives you 10% more damage if you have spent 5 seconds in combat. With an Orianna, it's really easy to still be in combat for 5 seconds and use your second rotation basically and do a lot more damage. After that, you have your usual Zhonya's or Void Staff, Death Cap as well. A Spellbinder also makes an appearance from like 2 to 3 items onwards and has a really good win rate. Now this one might be a surprise, but Ari is back in now after these changes and really good. First item Ludens almost every single game now. This is going to help your burst a lot, but also second item Spellbinder as the most popular choice. This gives your all-in potential a massive damage boost. Now you're playing Assassin Ari at this point, and you're really strong. Morello is also a really good second item. It now gives Magic Pen, remember, and you can also get this third after Spellbinder if you wanted to. Third item though, Death Cap is mostly here actually, especially with Spellbinder. Remember, the 40% is really strong now. As we said, the increase is just crazy good because you have so much AP with that item. Katarina is another weird one because you're not really using the new items that much, except Liandry's, but she abuses that really well. I know she is burst damage, so you wouldn't think you would have the 5 seconds in combat, but I think it's like you throw your dagger in, you enter combat, wait a few seconds, and then your damage is amping up, ready for your combo. Your first item is still Gunblade, really. Second item, though, Zhonya's or Liandry's. But Liandry's wins a lot more at the moment. It is a much more aggressive choice. Spellbinder and Morello are both really good here as well. They're kind of more of like a snowballing item. The build can look kind of standard, really. You round out with the Zhonya's, Void Staff, Death Cap and stuff. But you can also get the Spellbinder and Morello if you're ahead to do even more damage and win a bit harder. Fizz is a very similar champion. Seems to be one of the ones that has benefited the most out of these changes, except Ari. But he doesn't really use the new items that much. He's just a lot better. Now anyway, first items, Proto Belt and Lichbane, most games honestly, and then third item, normally Zhonya's, but Spellbinder is really good on him as well, especially when you're using it with your ultimate. It is just insane. You use your whole combo, all of your spells in a very short space of time, which is all going to use that extra AP. Xerath has also completely changed, and this really applies for all poke champions at the moment. So whether you're going to be playing like Ziggs or Lux, like all of these are a lot stronger, I think. First item is going to be a Ludens now. It makes their poke better. It gives them mana, it gives them cooldown reduction. It is literally a perfect item for them, really. Second item is a mix of Liandry's and Morello now. So with Liandry's, like poke champion is staying in combat for quite a while. It's not really instant burst or anything, so the damage amp is really going to apply. Morello, the magic pen really makes your poke hurt way more, especially with the Ludens damage on top of that. Third item is a split between Void Staff and Death Cap, but Death Cap is actually winning a bit more. Death Cap just seems like better mid-game now because of all the other AP around and the buff it got. Now Azir is probably one of the better users of Liandry's out this entire video, in theory at least. Most people are still going Nash's first item as normal here. Some people get Ludens though. It actually can work as well. Second item, Liandry's though. Azir will almost always use the full damage amp from this, so it honestly can't really be a bad item. Third item, Rylai is going to synergize with that Liandry's as well, Void Staff and Zhonya's. Fourth, fifth item is still overall like Void and Death Cap over other stuff. Echo has gotten a lot more popular recently as well this patch, not using a ton of the new items except Spellbinder. First item, Proto Belt, right? Still most of the time, but Ludens and GLP have a good win rate at the same time. It wouldn't surprise me to see more GLP over time on him. I think I actually could work pretty well. You're diving in, you want the slow anyway, and it has a really good win rate at the moment. Second item, Lichbane is normal though. Third item, Spellbinder or Morello seems to be really good here. They make him a ton more deadly, and obviously that is pretty much your job. With your full combo, the magic pen or the extra AP is just honestly really sick, and it was synergized with the ultimate as well. So finally, Veigar then is our 10th one. No real surprise that giving him a more aggressive first item in Ludens was going to make him pretty deadly. People are using this a lot on him, but also Abyssal Mars still, even GLP, Archangels, but they aren't as good as Ludens for now. Second item, Death Cap, is actually the most popular right now, which honestly is ridiculous. That is not what it's designed for, but it's winning a lot of games. Morello and Spellbinder make more sense, honestly, and they're also very good. These give him a ton of AP and kill potential, and that's exactly what Veigar wants. Items after that, Death Cap, Void, Zhonya's. Spellbinder though, especially, quick note, seems really good on him, which isn't much of a surprise when he can press this just before his big combo. So if we have a look at the best champions then after the changes, I've picked 10 champions that stand out so far in 8.4, and remember this is a first look, but it gives you a good idea. So Ari, no surprise, suddenly shot up here from pretty awful to one of the best in a single patch just because of the items. She wasn't able to burst people as hard before, but now you have Ludens and Spellbinder together, so that is fixed for you, honestly. Those two together are just really good. Fizz is another one we talked about, really good at the moment. All these lovely new mages being played more, and he can just take a dump on all of them. That is one of the biggest reasons why he is better. He does work with Spellbinder really well, but honestly, it doesn't 100% need to use that. He can use the old items that weren't really changed. It is really just the meta shift. Katarina is very similar actually to Fizz, but also uses the new Liandry's really well. Been strong for a while, obviously, has a crazy ban rate, one of the highest I think out of the mid laners. More mages being played though mid lane means an easier time for her, easier way to snowball and more kill pressure. Anivia is a bit of a different one, but she has a really good build at the moment. So Rod of Ages into Archangels into Liandry's. So the new Archangels is even better for her than before, I think, with the cooldown reduction and stuff on it now they didn't have before. Veigar is the same stuff we've kind of said already for him. New items is really good for him. Ludens, more burst burst as a first item, which is great. Morello and Spellbinder, even more burst now as well. Death Cap is better, more AP from items, and also more AP from your passive scaling, which is massive. Xerath is one I'm going to mention, but this could apply to Ziggs, Lux, Vel'Koz. They could fit in here. This poke build's really good at the moment. The Luden's rework is ideal. Morello, Liandry's also offer more damage in poke situations like we talked about before. Not very good versus Fizz and champions like that, but against other mages, he can outrange them, and he really hurts now, especially earlier into the game. Galio is a little bit different, maybe kind of a high elo, I think, maybe, but the AP build for solo queue is really good. Partly, this is the Aftershock Keystone, but also some new items. Luden's would be more poke damage as a first item. Morello, really good magic pen and health now as well, and you kind of want to be tanky on Galio. Liandry's is kind of perfect, though. Galio is not a burst champion, right? He'll use the full 10% damage amp for his second rotation of spells and become more deadly. The Cassiopeia is the same thing as Anivia, double scaling using Archangels. Not as bad a first item actually for her, but seems like Rod Mask into Archangels is a little bit better. Also, we have Liandry's, which is super busted on her. So good. 10% more fang damage, basically your E damage, and she pumps out constant damage over a longer period of time. Twisted Fate has always been a good solo queue champion. Not much has really changed, except Spellbinder can offer him a bit more burst if he gets ahead in the game, I guess. Death Cap also increases damage on his entire kit and combo to make him more deadly, but overall, he hasn't really changed much. He's still just really good. The final one I want to talk about is not an AP champion, but Talon. Actually, a little bit better after his buffs that came in with this patch. It will help that because of the AP item changes, most mid laners he is against are AP right now. The buff that he got last patch was a magic resist buff, so obviously that is really going to help. And it also helps as well that a lot of his good matchups are in mobile mages that are really popular in the start of 8.4. Anyway, thank you for guys watching. Thank you for 600k subs. We hit that yesterday. Really appreciate it. But for now, I will leave you with the robots.